Oh, I think it's absolutely perfect, because at the end of the day, if you see the report of the IPCC day before yesterday, the International Panel on Climate Change, and explains the challenge that we have in order to keep the planet at 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial warming levels, which is already a huge, horrible legacy we give to our children and grandchildren, then unless we have a huge investment in renewable energy, it's simply not going to be able to do the decarbonisation we need to do to keep global warming down. And so what Appian is doing here is fundamentally important to what we're going to be doing. Well, that's very simple. Europe has to recognise the fact that it has been one of the biggest emitters of CO2 over the last 50 years. And we have, and the CO2 sits in the atmosphere for 30 years. And so we have a responsibility, not just because we've emitted most of the CO2 together with the United States and the other developed countries, but also we still do, and we're relatively rich compared to the developing world. So we have an obligation to make the biggest cuts in CO2. Otherwise we'll never deal with climate change. It's that simple. And in order to do what we have to do, Europe has said it will cut 80% or more of its CO2 by 2050. And that must mean we have zero carbon electricity system by 2050. Otherwise the numbers just don't add up. And how do you get a zero carbon electricity system by 2050? Well, you have nuclear, which is very difficult to build at the price which you can build renewables now. You have sequestrated gas or coal, which is also very expensive, or you have cheap renewables. So the future renewables in Europe is huge, and the prices that we're actually finding them now makes it possible to do things we've always wanted to do, which is create jobs in Europe, create lower energy prices, have clean air, and to have a zero carbon electricity system. So I think the opportunities are huge. I think I'm right in saying that Appian is the oldest renewables association in Europe. I think it's right. It's been here for more than 20 years, if I understand correctly. 30 years. And that's fantastic, isn't it? So I'd simply say happy birthday, and I look forward to seeing you in 30 years.